Hi, my name is David Gadalovich, and this is Leaders Around the World, a space where I interview people that are changing the world in different ways. Here I am with Gabriela. How are you, Gabi?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank God. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, Gabi. Where are you from? Where do you live right now? And what do you do? What makes you special?
I'm originally from New Hampshire, a small state in New England. I currently live in Jerusalem, and I work for Machol Shalem Dance House, which is a dance organization that supports independent Jerusalem dance artists.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? First of all, how did you get involved? What was your story? You came to Israel. You were telling me before for a gap year. You ended up working there. You're a theater producer, which I think it's really cool. You're very young, and it's very cool. For like,
Yeah, so I graduated from college last spring, in spring of 2019. And I came to Israel August 2019 on a program called J-Pro Israel. And they helped set me up with a couple of jobs. Their idea was that we did tour learning in the morning and we had a job sort of in the afternoon, evening. So I started working with Machol Shalem as actually an unpaid intern at the beginning of the year, and was working another job to help pay to be here. And I stayed with them through the year, and as the year went on, I became hourly and officially on staff. But I started with them mainly working on their dance week and their international dance competition that happens each year in December. So I did a lot of the planning for that. I was an assistant producer at the time, so I was helping be in contact with all of the artists who were coming, and was usually on site, and that was really fascinating. I got to meet dance artists from around the world and also watch Jerusalem dance artists make connections with artists from around the world. So it's sort of we call it our dance week, but it's really a 2-week thing of performances and a giant international dance competition. And a bunch of directors of dance houses around the world come into Jerusalem. So that was my big introduction to Machol Shalem. And I've been there since, and I'm now their head producer. So I do all of our international relations. I oversee studio reservations. I schedule performances. I work on the production side of the performances. All of that.
all right. Can you explain to me a little bit about more the social aspect of it? Like you were telling me before when we were talking another day that you guys also use art and dance as a way to include people that are not usually that included in the society or underprivileged people, kids or adults even, or people from the ultra orthodox community. And
Yeah.
so, can you tell me more a little bit about how you guys do that?
Yeah, so we really try to reach all the whole community really. So we do have groups of religious women who come in. They use our spaces and they perform, and we help produce those shows and make sure that they're an environment that is comfortable for the performers and for the audience. So it's the building sort of transforms, and it's an only women space, which is really amazing. And we work with we're actually we have a new complex, basically this big building that includes 2 other organizations as well. And so we try to kind of share the wealth and share the responsibility. So we kind of take on religious female groups, and there's another organization there called Ben Shemaim Arts that tends to take on the all male groups. So that's also happening in the space. And then we also have some performances that we bring to schools, obviously not right now during times of Corona, but before that, we would enter into schools. And we started also going to mixed schools between like Arab and Israeli schools, and also bringing it to strictly Arab schools as well. And we also support the independent artists, which means that those who are really trying to get their name out there, but they're new to the dance world. They're young. Maybe they're just out of a lot of our artists come out of the Jerusalem Academy of Music and Dance, and they're really trying to get their footing. And so we offer them spaces that are subsidized so that they can really have more of an opportunity for that. And we also bridge these, we make these connections with international artists as well so that they can have the potential to perform abroad. And we do a lot of exchanges with abroad dance houses. So they'll send artists to us and we send artists to them. And that gives our Jerusalem artists more of a world experience, and people abroad get to see their work as well.
That's great. And one question that came out to me when I was first talking to you was, what does an theater producer do, and how did you get into that? Like you said that you just graduated from college and you started like this amazing job with this amazing, like a huge responsibility. How did you become what does entitle, and how did you become? How did you learn how to do it like so fast?
So in college, I double majored actually. One of my majors was theater and dance. It's joint, and the other one was religious studies. And I was really lucky. I went to Colby College. It's a small school in Maine, and I was really lucky that part of our curriculum was really learning the whole field. So even though I focused in dance and choreography, and most of my studies were there, I also took stage management, sort of independent study, where I became the stage manager of a big production for a semester. And I learned a lot of the things that happen behind scenes that way. And I also, I think, sorry, might be my WhatsApp that's open. I want to shut it. But I think also I had the opportunity to be behind the scenes as well for performances. There's sort of a tech class that is also part of the major. So I became stage crew for a performance as well. And you learn how to run lights, and you learn how to move sets, whatever, and all of sort of the different elements that go into making a production happen. We had to take part of. It was part of our major. And so when I came in to this job as an unpaid intern, and they would ask me like, last minute, we really need somebody to be on site for a show tonight. Can you do it? I'd be like, yeah, I can. And they'd say, are you sure? Have you done this before? And I'm like, yes, actually, I've done this before. So I really have my education to thank for that. But that kind of gave me a lot of opportunity, because I came in and I said, yes, I can do that. And they said, oh, can you manage a show? Can you call light cues? Meaning, like, can you tell the light person when to push the button for the next light cue? And I said, yes, I've done that before. And so that really gave me a lot of opportunity going forward.
That is great. Is it something that you will be interested in doing in the future? Like, did it change your perspective on?
That's such an interesting question. I think that in the arts, you kind of always wear multiple hats. And so I think that all of the skills that I'm learning from this job are going to are going to support me in whatever I choose to do, particularly if what I choose to do is in the arts field, because I'm learning everything from like the financial side of putting a performance on to the production side. So what do we need for lights? What do we need on the stage? How do they want their seating set up? How is the artist getting to and from the theater? Do they have complicated transportation, or are they coming from Jerusalem? So really thinking about the full picture, and that way, which is my goal, like when I have my own program, I'll be able to think and ask all of those questions. And I think that it'll really serve me in that way.
That's great. Now a more personal question. What keeps you motivated? Like, I know that right now it's hard for the artists, and I know that you guys are changing the world with art, with dance, and which I think that is extremely important in a personal, like that's my personal opinion. Um, you were here in a program, something came up, you started like working, something came up, you were supposed to go back to America, I think, but Corona came up and you kept going, and you found a job, and you so what keeps you motivated? What do you think every morning? What makes you wake up in the morning and be happy and be positive and keep going with the things that you're doing?
That's a really good question. I think it's a combination of things. This whole year, I haven't just been working for Mechol Shalem. I've had sort of a conglomeration of jobs, and so I've been able to fill my different needs. And so, for example, part of the thing for me, coming from New Hampshire, being in Israel in the summer has been one of the hardest things because it is so hot for me and like such a tough climate. And one of the things that kept me going this summer was I had the opportunity to teach dance to Haredi girls in Ramat Eshkol. So that was one thing, to be able to see them expand their minds and to remind myself, like, because at Mechol Shalem, as much as I love doing the behind the scenes, I don't always get to have that reminder of why I'm doing it. And so entering the studio again and seeing the power that dance had to kind of lift all of our spirits and to get us thinking about bigger picture things and out of the headspace of like we're just in this really, really challenging time, really gave me the motivation to continue my other work as well, because I'm giving the platform for that work to happen every single day. I just don't always get to see it. And so bringing myself back to the studio really helps me. And I also have like independent projects on the side that are within the same realm, to keep myself reminded of like, oh, I'm giving other people the opportunity to do this same thing that I love so much. And that helps me to keep going from the side of things that are not always, I mean, some of the work can be tedious as a producer, and it's not always fun. And so reminding myself like the outcome really helps for sure. And I really believe in it. So
To believe that you're giving something and special to all these people that makes you happy to make them happy. That's great. A great motivation fact. I think this is the end of our conversation, Gabby. Thank you very much. It was very nice talking to you. Very inspiring. I really think that you're going far. You're very young. You have an amazing job, and you're changing the world, and it's great. And I admire you, and I congratulate you. And thank you very much for giving me some of your time for this interview.
thank you for having me.
Big pleasure.